For those who require step-free access, getting on a train is hard, humiliating, or just impossible at Norwood Junction train station. This is the case for Mary-Jean Charles.
It's very inconvenient trying to access Norwood Junction station because the only platform I could use is platform 1. I can get on a train, say if I was going to London Bridge, Victoria, I can get that move, but if I was coming back home, it would be very difficult because there's no step-free access. The platform has 24 steps, so 2 lots of 12, which is very difficult to get up and down because I use a wheeled walker. So as a consequence, I'm not allowed to ask any of the station staff to help me down the steps because of health and safety reasons. And if a person with disabilities was to go down, they would have to rely on the passengers to support them to get up and down the station. Going back to Norwood Junction is absolutely a no-no because there's no step-free access. So if we wanted to do employment like Sutton to Norwood Junction, shouldn't really be too many stops on the train, but if I'm going to Sutton, I have to take a bus because I wouldn't be able to access platform 2 or the other stations to get me there in a shorter time. So when I'm travelling, I need to ensure that I allow enough time to use a bus as opposed to, say, a 20 or 30 minute journey. And because I have mobility problems, which with my back sitting on a bus for an hour and a half plus isn't really good for the pain that I experience or for other passengers that have mobility problems. I would like to say that using Norwood Junction station doesn't accord with the Disability Act or the Equality Act because as an individual and for all those that do have mobility problems, we're not able to access the station. So I think the sooner you get the step-free access, then that would ensure that the 2 acts are supported, the disability and the equality, so that I can actually seek gainful employment.
Croydon North MP Steve Reid believes more should be done at Norwood Junction train station.
Well, I think it's wrong that Mary and other disabled people can't use the train station because it doesn't have disabled access. I've been campaigning actually on trying to get disabled access to Norwood Junction for some time. I think it's a basic right that everyone should be able to use an important utility like a train station. People need to get to work or to go and visit people. Disabled people currently can't use this station because it doesn't have a lift. So I went to see Sadiq Khan shortly after he was elected Mayor of London, so a couple of months ago, to talk about this issue. And what they said to me is that they will be looking to programme in the funding at some point in the future. It's not currently in their funded plans, but they will be looking to bring it in at some point in the future, and I think it's very important they do.
Kevin Reynolds struggles to use Norwood Junction train station.
It's hard because once you get through a barrier and just say a train is on a far platform, you can't get over. You've got all stairs. You've got to go to Crystal Palace and change there and come back. There should be a lift or something. It would make a journey faster and more easier. There's a lot of disabled passengers who can't walk. Like East Croydon, they've got a steep ramp, and by the time you get East Croydon, you get so exhausted.
Councillor Kathy B believes more should be done at Norwood Junction train station, and it could be achieved in various ways.
Well, frankly, it's appalling. My brother is a wheelchair user, and he used to be able to walk a bit so he could get up and down stairs. So we could use the station, but with difficulty until quite recently, and at the moment he can't really manage to get up and down the steps. So the only thing we can do if we're using that station is get in at the station where there is disabled parking and go to London, and then you could come back and go to West Croydon and change over the platforms and come back that way. So it's just that there are about 4,000 people who use the station every day. It's a really, really busy station. It's also got lots of interchange. It's a junction, that's why it's called Norwood Junction, and it's just impossible for people with disabilities, somebody who's got a mobility impairment, to use it properly. It's not fair. Well, the challenge for Croydon Council is it doesn't belong to the council. It's run by, owned by Network Rail, and it's operated by Transport for London. So the council works with both of those organisations and has recently been lobbying very, very hard to get one or other of them to bring forward some plans to make it accessible. One of the problems is that the platforms, platform 3 and 2, platform is very, very narrow, and platform 2 is never used. It's more or less just one platform. And then I think it's platform 6 as well, is also extremely narrow. So there's not enough room to get the traditional lift that people have been using in there and have enough space to go around the side. We do, however, think that there should be ways around it. It should be possible maybe to put in a footbridge at the end of the platform that would mean you couldn't go past it, but you could get up and go along and down. So it shouldn't be impossible, and it's about time that our transport people in sort of Network Rail got their fingers out really and thought about how they can make it accessible.
Local historian John Hickman has been campaigning for step-free access at Norwood Junction train station.
We still do not have the access or step-free access between the platforms on the station. So if you are disabled, or if you are a mum with a pushchair, a couple of youngsters and bags of shopping, you have difficulty bouncing it down the stairs and up the other side. It's hard work. The people on the station can't help you because of Health, Safety and Welfare at Work Act, and they would be doing it all day. So the disabled and women who are with their youngsters and shopping rely upon the generosity and the time of the public to help them between the platforms. Now, some short while ago there was a campaign to change the name of Norwood Junction Station to South Norwood. That would cost £100,000, if not £200,000, a very considerable sum of money, and I thought that it would be a better idea to actually spend that money getting step-free access inside the station between the platforms.
Paralympian and presenter Adi Adipatan believes all train stations should have step-free access.
Public transport in London, which is where I grew up and what it was like, I never thought about it when I was growing up, but it wasn't practical. It wasn't great. But you know, when you grow up, you don't think about it. It's only as you get older you start thinking, well, this is ridiculous. You know, we're in the 21st century. You need a transport system that caters for everybody. You know, there's not many stations with step-free access. What it does to you is it takes away your independence, it takes away your spontaneity. You know, if your friends say, oh, do you fancy going out for a drink in town? You have to think carefully and plan your way around it and think, how do I do this? And also, yeah, I still play a lot of sports. I have a basketball wheelchair, I have a load of equipment. If I'm gonna travel on the tube, there's no way I'm gonna be able to take any of that stuff. So it restricts me in terms of what I can and can't do. I generally have to either drive there in my car or get taxis. So it's an extra added cost as well. It's basically, until it's fixed, until we have a fully accessible underground system, it's a massive pain in the backside. I'm sure there are many people with disabilities who are unable to, you know, walk freely and would need to use public transport. I'm sure a lot of them are restricted from the jobs they can do in terms of how they get there and in terms of, you know, just the practicality of getting to work. It just changes the way you think. You know, if you're living on the outskirts of London or anywhere around the outskirts and you've got a job in central London, and you need to get a tube there, it'd be an absolute nightmare if you haven't got a car. Yeah, it's just really hard work. So I think it's crazy. It's a system where it's affecting the productivity, the health, and probably the mental well-being of a large section of the nation. Do you know, for the future of the UK, of London and all the big cities in our country, I really hope that we create a transport system that is open to everybody, you know, because in order for the country to progress, everybody has to feel like they're included. And part of the inclusivity is having a transport system where, you know, whether you're disabled, whether you're a mother with kids who has to push, or a father with kids who has to push around big prams, or someone from who's older, who may have problems walking around. Yeah, if we haven't got step-free access, or we haven't got an accessible transport system, that just takes away their life choices. Yeah, and I think it decreases the quality of your life in the country. So it needs to change, and I hope it will change. I hope we'll have that, and it will bring us in line with a lot of other countries in Europe. I travel all over Europe, and I'm surprised. It makes me look back at our system and think it's so archaic. And yeah, the government does need, I think if they haven't already got someone, they should have someone who's advising on the transport system, on how to change it and how to move it forward, and how to make it more practical for everybody.
In the future, I would definitely like there to be step-free access, maybe a lift that operable in Norwood Junction station, so that I could achieve gainful employment and I could travel to other destinations, Dorking, lovely country areas. Because I want to do like wheelchair dance, and I cannot access it because it takes an hour and a half plus for me to get there.